Hey everyone, so if you haven't heard, Justin Timberlake, after nearly 2 decades, has apologized to both Janet Jackson and Britney Spears, and a lot of women are talking about this on Twitter, so I wanted to bring the conversation to my channel and just see how you all feel about this. I'm going to tell you a little bit of the background, and then I'll tell you what I think. So, years ago, Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake did perform together at the Super Bowl. It was a great performance, and at the end, as part of the routine, he pulled a part of her shirt down. Now, she was supposed to have a pasty on, but apparently the pasty fell off, or he pulled the wrong side of her shirt, and so her full breast was exposed. And this was a huge controversy because, a lot of times families are watching the Super Bowl and stuff, and it comes on primetime TV. And so it was just crazy. It created this huge scandal, and I believe Janet Jackson was fined by the FCC. I have personally always felt like the FCC owes Janet Jackson an apology for the way that situation was handled and the way that they basically tried to brand her with a scarlet letter over a mistake, over a wardrobe malfunction, right? And a lot of people, like a lot of Janet Jackson fans, didn't think it was cool that Janet was getting all of the pushback. She was taking all of the hits while Justin Timberlake pretty much was able to just move on with his life. And that situation was never a stain on his legacy in the ways that it temporarily hurt Janet Jackson and her legacy, right? Then Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears. Wow. If you are a pop culture fan from the late 90s into the early 2000s, then you'll know that Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake at one point were like one of the it couples in Hollywood. They were media darlings, and a lot of people at that time assumed that they would eventually get married and have children and live happily ever after. But that's not what happened, okay? Rumor has it that Justin Timberlake was basically never faithful to Britney Spears, and that he broke up with her after finding out that she had kissed one of her background dancers. And I think it was her kid's father that was a background dancer for her. And when he found out that they had some level of intimacy, Justin Timberlake broke up with her. Which is his business, right? It's his prerogative. It's one thing to break up, but he used that breakup to launch his career. I don't care what anyone says, because you got to remember, at that time, he had only had like 1, maybe 2 solo albums. So he still wasn't solidified as a solo artist back then. But I'm telling you, he used that breakup and all the news around it to sell albums and to just catapult himself into solo artist success. If you remember that song Cry Me a River and the music video for it, the girl in that video looked just like Britney Spears. So him and his team knew exactly what they were doing. And in the meantime, you had a lot of his fans and other people that just treated Britney Spears like she was some heartless woman that had hurt this man and emotionally scarred him. I mean, they really played this out, y'all. They really played this out in a way that probably would not fly today. And a lot of her fans believe that the way that he just allowed people to believe that, she was just this Jezebel and a harlot is what partially contributed to the mental health breakdown that she had, going into the early and mid 2000s. A lot of her fans believe that, and they have not let him forget it. So his apology today is kind of being received in a way that's pretty interesting. I think the collective view of a lot of us as women on Twitter is that the apology is not genuine. It's just one of those public relations cleanup things. But the apology is important because it can potentially lead to a larger conversation about the ways that men benefit from misogyny, and as in the case of Janet and Justin, the ways that men can also benefit from misogyny and the racist stereotypes against black women, I'm going to say something that is probably a little bit unpopular, but I believe that men of all races, including black men, when it comes to black women, can benefit from misogyny and these stereotypes against black women. You know, I don't think that's exclusive to non-black men. Just think about some of the things you've seen in your own personal life and the things that we've seen play out publicly. Think about it. All men, regardless of skin color, benefit from, when it comes to us, benefit from misogyny and the stereotypes against us. And so in that regard, the apology is important because we do need to have these conversations, because it's not okay that a man can do something that completely damages you, profit off of it, move on like it never happened, while you in turn have to spend all this time trying to clean up your image. I mean, if you look at when it comes to Michelle A. and Dr. Dre, her career never really took off because he was, even though he was very abusive to her, he's never denied abusing her, he was able to completely hurt her, not only physically but emotionally, and probably somewhat contributed to the fact that her career never really took off. He was able to damage her in all those ways and then go off and live his own life and become nearly a billionaire. And then all he had to do years later is just be like, well, I'm sorry for the ways that I have hurt some women. What? That doesn't undo the fact that you completely took a wrecking ball through her life. You know, same thing if you think about like Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton is a former president, and because he's old, people view him with some level of respect. Meanwhile, Monica Lewinsky has dealt with this whole situation where she was involved in some level of an affair with him, and it has been a cloud that has hung over her entire life. Same thing with Anita Hill and Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas has had a long career as a Supreme Court justice. When he gets when he gets older and when he dies, people will view him with some level of respect. Meanwhile, this woman, pretty much after the whole situation with the congressional hearings where she talked about the fact that she had been sexually harassed by him, she pretty much dealt with so much negative pushback that she has wanted a life of pretty much complete obscurity. And for the most part, she avoids attention at all costs. I mean, that whole situation completely affected her and the trajectory of her life. And in her case, she's never gotten an apology. She got a half-ass apology from Joe Biden because of how he dealt with her in the hearings. But it's like, okay, like these men literally do stuff to completely ruin your life or to try to ruin you emotionally. Go away and then come back years later and think an apology is going to fix that. And so maybe with Justin Timberlake's apology, there's space for us as women collectively to say, well, okay, we're glad that you used your position as a public figure to give light to this issue. But now let's talk about the ways that your apology does not lead to anything tangible. So let's talk about the ways that those of you who can be fixed and those of you who can change, let's talk about the ways that you can be better so that you're just not walking around fucking women over and just leaving a line of just emotionally damaged and broken women. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. I'll talk to you all very, very soon. Bye.